Hey guys, welcome back to part 4 of this Django e-commerce website tutorial series. In this part we're going to work with the cart. So I'm going to create a new class using Python inside the store app, where we're going to handle things like adding things to the cart, removing, incrementing, decrementing and similar. So inside this store we can create a new file called cart.py. So I'm going to base this a little bit on some old code I have from a different project. So if I just go to my GitHub account, and I have a repository here or project called Nordic Homes. This is a fairly new e-commerce website that I'm going to base the cart on. Here I have a separate app for the cart. As you saw, I don't want to have that in the new app because I just want to have everything connected to the store within the store. So if I open up cart here, then I have a class called cart. As you can see here, I import two different things. First I import settings from Django. From django.conf import settings. This makes it possible to use variables from the settings file. And then I import the products model. So from .models import product. And I can use .models since I'm inside the same app as the product model. And then I need to I need to create the cart like that, and then I have a function for initializing this. Here we pass in self, which is kind of the cart object itself, and then the request information. And then I need to set the session on this object to the request.session, which have information about the browser, the user, and much things like that. And then below there I create a new variable called cart. And what this does is that it checks if the session contains an object with this ID. I have not created this ID, so before I continue I can do that. So if I just open up patnet settings.py, then we can add it here. Just need to go back here and make sure that I do this correctly. So if I open up Nordic Homes settings.py, then I found here that I have the session cart session ID. It's just cart. You can call it whatever you want, but this is easy to understand. So this is now a key in the session. And then we can set how many seconds we want the session to be live. So if you go above this, which is 1 day, I think, then the session will be deleted and the cart will be emptied. So you can multiply this with how many days or weeks and similar you want. So now that that is done, I can just close this, and then you can see that we are using this. And then below here I do a check to see if this cart already exists. So if not cart, then we want to create a new object of this inside the session. So then we say session equals cart equals self.session, and then we pass in the key again and just set this to be an empty object. So now we have something in the session which we can add products to and similar. And then at the end we just say self.cart equals cart. So what happens then is that we set this variable on this object to the information from either this or this. So then I can just copy all of this function, and then I will explain what happens here. So this is an iteration function. So each time we iterate through this cart, we want to do a few things with the information we have there. So we loop through all of the keys in the session, which is the products, and then we set this, and then we get the information from the database based on that information. So we only store the ID for the product, but as you can see here, we get all of the information about the product and insert it to this variable. And then we loop through the values and not the keys. So this is the value, and then we set the total price, so it's easier to calculate this later. And as you can see here, I multiply the product price, which is still in cents, multiply this with the quantity, how many of that product is in the cart, and divide it by 100. And then we get the total price. This is just the display price, I think, and then we yield it, which is it's a bit hard to describe or explain what this does, but it has to do with the calculation of this price. Next we have a length function. So this overrides the built-in functionality for a Python class. So what this does is that it just sets the quantity for the whole cart when it loops through the quantity or the value or the quantity for each of the products. So now we get, for example, if you have 2 food and 2 toys, then you have 4 will this sum and together and return this for you. And each time we do something with this cart, for example here where we add things to the cart, at the end we call the self.save function. So we can begin by creating that. So what this does is that it takes a method or a function and then it sets the session, which we get from up here, to the self.cart, and then we modify this just so the server knows that something happened to this session and calculations and similar can happen in the backend. I will come back to the add, remove and clear function and all of these also later. But for now we can just save this. So now I want to add a button inside here. If I go to one of the products, food, new food, then I want to have a button here, add to cart. So I can go in here and see how we did it here. If I just go into the product, find the template for this, then we should have a button. Okay, here I actually use HTMX for this, so just ignore this. I need to find where this function is located. Yes, it's in here. urls.py. So I import this from cart.views. So if I just go into that, cart.views, then we can start recreating this. So here you can see that we import the cart we just created. So if I open up store views.py, then we can import it here. Okay, do it there so it's alphabetically. So then we import the class from this file. And then we have a new view here called add to cart. I can just copy all of this. Actually, I don't want this. I want here to redirect you back to the product. But for now it can just redirect you back to the front page. So return, redirect, front page. And then you see here that we get this error because we haven't imported this shortcut together from Django.shortcuts. So here we use or create a new instance of the cart and then we add this product ID to it. So now we can import this to the URLs so it's usable. And then we can actually append it at the end there, path. Maybe not at the end. Actually, you can make a copy of this and change this a little bit. So we can here say add dash to cart. Add to cart, and the name for this should be add to cart. And then we just need to change the view a little bit. We can copy these two. Paste it like that. Actually, this is just messy. Let's do it the way I initially thought. So remove and move this up above these two here. Add to cart and then int, because we expect an integer here, product ID underscore ID, like that. So now this should be added here and we use it here to add this to the cart. So then we can create the button for this. So I said templates, product detail, then below the description we create a new anchor tag, href, URL and then the name of the view, and then we can pass in product.id, add to cart. Maybe we should add some styling to this so it actually looks like a button. Class px8, py4 and bg-teal 500, text white, and also inline block. So if I now go back, refresh, we have this, and if I click it I will get an error because the cart object doesn't have the add attribute. So let's add that now. So if I just go back to the repository where I have the code, it's not this one, it's in there in the cart. Then we can make a copy of this function. I will take one and one line so I can explain it better. So first we have the def add, which is the name. We get the product ID, the quantity, which is at default to 1, and then update quantity, which is at default to false. Because I want to use this function when we add it, or when we decrement or add more values to the same product. And then we get the product ID and we convert it to a string because the product ID string is the key in the session, as you can see up here, there. And then we can check that if this product ID is not in the cart, then we know that we are going to add this to the cart. So then we specify the product ID on the cart object, set the quantity default to 1. You can actually set this to the variable quantity if you want a different type of quantity. And we set the ID. And then we can do a check to see that if we are updating this, which will happen in the cart page when we do the checkout and similar, then we want to get this product from the session, take the quantity variable or property and plus equals the integer value of the quantity, which should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or similar. Actually, you can convert this to integer as well, just so we know that there are no errors there. And when this is done, we can just say self.save. And when that is done, then we know that the product is added to the cart. So if I go back to the product now and refresh, if I click this, then I will be sent to the front page. And that means that now we actually have a product in the cart. Nice. So what we can do now is to check if the product is in the cart. So we can do that by doing this function here, and then we try to use it. So below here we can create a new function called def get total cost, which will return the total cost of the whole cart for us. And to do that we need to loop through the keys, which is the products, and then we get more information about the product from the database by doing the same thing as we did up here. So now we have the product on the cart. And then we return an integer value. This is a very long statement. So we sum together the price of the product, multiply with the quantity for each of the items in the cart. Then we convert this to be an integer just to make sure that there are nothing wrong, and then we divide it by 100. So hopefully if I now scroll up, sorry, I don't need to scroll up, but I need to go to views.py. If I go into the, for example, the product detail, and we can say cart equals cart, and pass in the request parameter, just like we do up here. And then we can say print cart.getTotalCost. And hopefully, if I now go into a product, for example, new food, go to the command line, then we see here 100. Nice, because we have one of that product in the database, or sorry, in the session for the cart. Nice. So the next step then is to just remove this because we don't want it there. And then I can set this task to done, because now we can add products to the cart. Then I want to begin working with the cart. I don't think I have time to do this finish today, but at least we can create a view where we show the product from the cart. So inside views.py, we can create a new view, def cart view, just so we don't mix this variable with the view name, request. And then here we can say cart like this. We are going to make this available in the menu as well, and then we're going to need to do this globally, but for now we can just do it like this. Now we say return render request, and then we need to specify the template, store/cart view.html, and then we can pass in the cart object so we can use it in the template and save. So then I need to import this into the URLs file. Here, path, cart, and views.cartView, name cart view, and save. So if I now go to /cart, I will get a template does not exist error. That's okay because we haven't created it, so that was expected. So I can make a copy of the top here, so I don't have to write that again. Create a new file called cartview.html, cart, and block. Set the title to cart, and if I now refresh, the error is gone and we see the title. So just for now, I just want to list out the products here. So then I can say for item in cart and for. And you notice that I use for item in cart, and that's because the item is added to the cart and the item has a product. So here I can say p, just for paragraph, item dot product dot title and save. So if I go back now, refresh, see the title and the new food. The quantity item dot quantity, because this is information stored on the product, no, the item, and not the product. So if I save now, refresh, it says quantity 1. Nice. So now that we can see the cart, we should also make it possible to delete products from the cart. But I just want to add a few more things. Chewing toy and maybe squeaky toy. So if I now go to /cart, then you will see all of these different products. Nice. Class MB2, and then at the bottom, strong total cost. And here we can say cart.get total cost, which is the information or the method we added at the bottom here. So if I refresh now, you will see all of these, and then the total cost, which is $129. I know this looks very ugly, but the functionality is the most important thing right now. So then I can go into cart view and then href. I don't have this yet, so it can just be empty. Remove from cart. So now I want to make it possible to click this to remove this product. So I can begin by creating the function here in the cart. So let me just go back to Nordic Homes for some inspiration for the code. Then we have the def remove method. So then we get the product ID and we check if this product ID exists in the cart, and if it doesn't exist, it's not possible to remove it either. But if it is there, we can just say del for delete, and then we remove this key from the cart. And each time we do a change to the cart, we need to run self.save. Nice. So if I then go back to views.py, then we can create a new view here at the top, def remove from cart, request product ID. And then we need to initialize this again. Now we can say cart.remove product ID. And then we can just return the user back to cart view. Maybe when we have added a product to the cart, we can be redirected to there, like that. And the last step then, or next last step, is to add it here. Path remove from cart int product ID views.remove from cart, and the name is this, views. So then we can activate this by saying URL remove from cart and pass in item.product.id and close that. So if I save now, go back to the cart, whoops, refresh, then I should be able to click this, and it was not removed. Okay, you can see here that this was called, so I know that it went into this. Maybe this needs to be converted to a string. No errors at least. Refresh. Okay, that didn't work. The key error. Doesn't work. Cart.remove. Okay, why doesn't that work? Delete self dot. Okay, Python delete from object by key using the del keyword. So why doesn't that work? This should be working. It was working in this. So delete. Okay, Python delete key error while deleting. I don't do this anywhere, so why doesn't it work? Okay, I can't see any obvious things why this doesn't work, and I don't have much time right now. That's weird. Okay, just need to see what I do here. Remove. Okay, and then in the view, I do the same thing there, I think. Add to cart, update cart. I don't have a remove here. That's weird. Okay, I just used the incremental function, so I actually don't use it. So then I'm not sure why this isn't working, so I have to come back to that. But at least I can set this task to done. And then I want to add a few new tasks here. Make it possible to remove product from cart. Make it possible to decrement products in the cart, and fix the design on the cart page. Create a checkout page and then checkout functionality like that. So then I want to start working on this in the next part of this series. If you have any questions about today's code, feel free to leave a comment below and answer as soon as I can. See you in the next video.